Back to Ask the Professor. I am your host, Professor Ben, and we get together live every Wednesday at 11:45 Eastern right here so we can talk about all things business, all things influence, just those challenges that you are facing. And hey, you're a leader, you got to do something about it. You're in sales, you've got a quota to hit, and we're here to support you. And we're joined by the one and only Chris Allen, Sales VP of Augment, and just a breakthrough, starting at the bottom, making it to the top through your career, and have done some spectacular things. So thank you for carving out time. I know it's the end of the year, and you are here helping other sales professionals and other sales leaders take on their challenges. So thank you for carving time out. And of course, we've got Ari, our producer, helping us make this show magical, bringing the guests in and keeping everything duct taped together behind the scenes. Thank you, Ari.
We love duct tape back here.
We need duct tape back here for sure. So, Chris, you were on the show a couple weeks ago, and we touched on some pretty important topics, especially for those that are either trying to get into leadership, from their sales role, they want to get into sales leadership, or those that made the leap, they're there, they got the promotion, and they've got to figure out what to do now. What were some of the highlights? What were some of the things that people need to go back and listen to on that previous show, Chris, that stuck out to you?
Yeah, good question. I think so. First off, thank you for having me back. I love these conversations, and I'm always happy to help people out, especially at the most stressful time of the year. I think the one that really sticks out was the doing the hard things up front, right? And always doing the right thing. And I think the two are very much tied together. Putting the hard work in up front is tough, but it always pays dividends in the long run. So I think that was the one that really stuck out for me. And then the second, and again, very much tied into it, is showing leadership. So if you want to move into a leadership role, the title never comes first. Always make sure that you are taking on those additional responsibilities and showing that you're ready for the role before you ask for the role.
Amen to that. That was super important. So if you missed the details of that great conversation, Ari, where can they find that previous episode with Chris on it?
Yeah, you guys can go find that episode at mybenchmarktraining.com/resources/asktheprofessor. And you can find a bunch of resources on our website as well. Tons of videos, tons of articles, all good stuff.
Heck yeah. And Chris, I don't know if you know this or not yet, that was one of our best shows, best responses for shows. I think on all the platforms, we had over 20,000 viewers watching you talk and help people through those challenges. So obviously a hot topic. You're a great speaker, so that's obviously part of it as well. So if you've missed the show, make sure you go watch the show and join the thousands that are benefiting from all the things that we're talking about here. But today, let's talk about right now. What are we talking about right now? And we've got a really hot topic. So you're going to bring more people in here, Chris. Just thinking about, we talked coaching up or coaching out. Probably one of the toughest things that we have to do as sales leaders. We've got a team, and maybe some are performing really well, some maybe not so much. We've got to know what to do in those moments. How do we coach them up so they can get back to hitting their numbers, being a rock star in their role? And if that's not working, how do we coach them out? It's a hot topic. Chris, kind of what are your first reactions as when people start talking to you about this?
Yeah, where to start? I think building a sales organization, you have to have systems and processes in place that everyone is bought into, right? We talked about accountability across the team, being honest, and so one thing that I always do in every one-on-one, and my team are kind of trained on this, is what we call an accountability meeting. And it's really, really simple, and it's designed to get a lot harder the further into the meeting we get. It's a simple concept. Are you hitting your number? If the answer is yes, then that's kind of the end of the accountability meeting. If you are not at your number or not on pace for your number, do you have enough pipeline to get there? If the answer is yes, then that's the end of the meeting. And then the third one is, if you don't have enough pipeline, what are the activities that you're doing to generate that pipeline? And you can go a level deeper and look if the volume of activities there, then what's the messaging that's being used, like what's happening in those micro or in those activities. And it's designed to be tough for the people that maybe aren't performing, but give them really good direction on what they should be doing to get where they need to be. And so if you're having those meetings a lot and they're always tough, then I think everyone understands that the performance isn't there. And that's when, the coaching out conversation happens. I'm a real believer in the kind of 80-20 rule. And it's a pitfall that a lot of new sales leaders fall into. And I think just every sales leader tends to fall into it, because if you've got someone that you really like and you want them to be performing, it's very easy to spend a lot of time, like too much time with them. When in reality, you're going to get a lot more production from the people that are performing if you're spending more time with them to help them get from 110% to 150%, as opposed to helping someone from get to 20 to 30%, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So Chris, I'm gonna have to stop you there because you touched on so many important topics. First off, Ari, we need another hour for this episode.
I know the conversation is so good. I never want to stop.
Oh my gosh. Okay, 3 things that you mentioned that we cannot forget about. First, and I don't even know if you knew this, you said this, but you got to coach in. You got to coach in as well, and that is like looking inward, going, do I have the right structure for my team?
Yeah.
Right? Do I have the right structure? Am I setting my team up for success? That is number one. That's a huge topic. We could spend the next hour on that. The second thing that you said, there's 3 things that we want to hold our team accountable for. And I'm going to add to that, Chris, is that as sales professionals, we got to hold ourselves accountable for them. Am I at my number? Am I at my number? Yes or no? If no, okay, do I have the pipeline to get me to my number? If no, then what am I doing? What are my activities that are going to help me move the needle to build a pipeline so I can close the deals and then, of course, be at my number? Those 3 things should be what every single salesperson and sales leader is thinking about at any time of the day.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so you brought those up that are really important. So we got to make sure that we are keeping track of that for sure. And then, of course, it's the accountability, making sure that we are holding that team accountable. There was a third one in there, Chris. What was the third one that you brought up? That was so good.
Holding them accountable. And then the 80-20 rule, I think it was, right? Like making sure that you're spending more time with people that are performing as opposed to the people that are not.
Amen to that. So the third thing is, as a sales leader, where do you spend your time? Yeah. Right? Where do you spend your time? Because your ROI is going to be significantly stronger if you're spending your time with your B+, A- players, helping them get to A, versus your C players trying to get them to a C+ and pulling your hair out along the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And I'll say I've made that mistake probably too many times, right? Like everyone does it. You've got a relationship with someone, you want them to be successful, and you spend a ton of time with them. At a certain point, you got to cut your losses and spend it on the right people, So
let's hone in on that one too. So I like the coaching inward because we do need the right structure. Chris, I'm gonna hold you to that. We're gonna come back and talk about that more on our next episode. But let's talk a little bit about coaching up or coaching out, right? I think one of the first things that comes to mind for people is performance improvement plans, PIPs. Should I use them? Is it something that is just an HR red tape that I just have to do because I'm a sales leader and we don't want to get sued? Or can they be helpful? Can they actually get somebody to improve their performance? And of course, we've got to also make sure that we are diagnosing properly. Like, what is the challenge for that salesperson? If we don't diagnose what the problem is, then maybe we're not going to help them get to the right place. So as a sales leader, we have to be able to diagnose first. But let's go with performance improvement plans. What's your thought? Do they work? Should we use them? Is it just HR red tape?
I mean, what is a performance improvement plan, right? It's activities, it's outcomes, it's timelines that you have to adhere to show that you're doing the right stuff to be successful in your job. In sales, we need to create deals, move deals forward, close deals. There's a bunch of activities and metrics that are always tracked as part of just any sales organization. And so, like, my thought is, especially in sales, everyone's on a pip. I mean,
everyone. So as soon as you start day one, guess what, buddy? You're in sales. You're on a performance improvement plan.
Yeah.
Everybody is at all times. I agree. I totally agree with that. 100%.
Yeah. Everyone's got a number over their head. So, I mean, if you're consistently not hitting that number and you're not doing the right activities, then it's really, really easy to work backwards and prove that someone hasn't been doing the right stuff. It's never, talking about coaching out or having to let someone go. It's in sales, from my experience, it's never a surprise. I've genuinely never had anyone surprised that it was going to be their last day. And generally, I would say 99 times out of 100, they're relieved.
So yes, for sure with that. Like I would say 99 times out of 100 for sure. The lower performer is going to be better off somewhere else. The culture is not working for them. The requirements of the job is not working for them. They're feeling that stress. They're dying on the inside, and they're just trying to hang on for dear life. As a sales leader, let's do them a favor. Help them go find a role where they can thrive, where they can do excellent, because this role is just not it.
Yeah, and I've seen people leave somewhere that they've not been successful and absolutely crush it somewhere else because
100%.
The pressure comes off and they know the right things to do and they start their job off the right way. And the reverse, when someone's feeling all this pressure coming down on them because they're not performing, they tend to take shortcuts and they try and rush things and they don't do the right things and it builds upon itself. And the sooner that you realize that as a leader and the sooner they realize it, the better, because it doesn't just hurt them, it hurts the business as well.
Hurts the business, it hurts the whole team. It brings down the top performers. They're panicking, they're making mistakes, and they're not going to get caught up. Yeah. So one thing that you said that really sticks out, so I love this, everyone's on a PIP. Everyone's always on a PIP at all times. Could not agree with that anymore. That's 100% accurate. So as a sales leader, whether we call it HR's performance improvement plan, or if we just take the time to sit down with the low performer in question and walk him or her through what needs to happen, make it crystal clear what they need to do, and have that conversation early. Don't wait until they're in this panic state that you're talking about, and then pull out the red tape, knowing you're going to let them go in 30 days.
Yeah.
Right. Have that conversation up front very early. Started off with, guess what? Everyone here is on a PIP, so you gotta make sure you're following through with these things. You got to own it, and I'm going to hold you accountable in our weekly meetings, Chris, that you were talking about, to make sure that either you're at your number, you're at your pipeline, or you're doing the activities that are going to get you to those two. That's performance improvement at its best.
Yeah, 100%. I love the Radical Candor by Kim Scott. I think
great.
When I read that book, it really solidified a lot of thoughts that I had, right? Like, you got to show people that you actually care about them. But once they know that you care about them, you care about their success, that we're all part of the same team driving towards the same goal. And obviously you got to put the work in to make sure that everyone understands the goal that you're trying to achieve. If you do that work up front, then you have the opportunity, or you've earned the right to give them very, very direct feedback on what they're not doing well at and what they need to do to improve their performance. And then again, like those tough conversations, going back to doing the hard stuff up front, right? If you do the hard stuff up front, then everything else becomes a lot easier.
Absolutely, it does. So what other tools do we have? Think about doing this right up front. Performance improvement plans are out there. We've got our weekly accountability meetings. What else can I do with my sales reps that maybe are just not hitting the mark, and I want to try coaching them up first?
Yeah, in some cases, shadowing, getting other reps on calls. Personally, like I like to spend time on calls as well. I had a mentor a few years back. I can't remember if I brought this up on the last meeting, but I remember I was a new manager and I was getting a little bit frustrated because I was really trying to coach the team hard and I was asking them all these questions, and I found I was getting just kind of stunned silence. In some cases, coaching is great, but some cases people just don't have the foundational knowledge to be successful. So you got to get in and show them what great looks like, so that they know it and they understand it really, really well. And then you can coach against that because they've seen it. But you got to do yourself a favor and make sure that they actually have seen, what you expect, and then you can coach against it.
Yeah. So you did not bring up that mentor story. So that's a great one. So what does success look like? That's such an important clarification or question that leaders need to ask themselves so that they can communicate it properly. And shadowing is a great way to do that. If you have some of your top reps that are willing to spend a little bit of time, not all day, don't bog them down, but spending some time to show, like, this is what I do all day long. And a lot of times newer reps are going to be surprised that there's that much work, there's that much grit that's necessary in order to be successful. So showing them what success looks like, how to get there, what it takes to get there can be a great way to do that as well. I'll do a little shameless plug, bringing in a benchmark training coach. That's a great idea, right? So it doesn't have to be benchmark training, but bringing in a coach, bringing in a third-party coach to help work with them. Now you've got this question is, to your point about the 80-20 rule, Chris, is do you bring the coach in to work with that B+ player, get him to an A+ status, right? Huge ROI, or do you invest in that C- player and see if you can't get him to a B-? Not as big of an ROI, but is that obligation there in leadership to help the people be successful?
Yeah, I think it's a really, really good question, Ben. I think for me, like I like to bring in, like I brought you guys in to work with the entire team, right? And so you take the first step and you invest in your team, and then you see where it takes, and then you can reinvest in those people that are really shining through the process, that are engaged in it, that are loving it, and that are seeing the value. And one thing I'll mention, and this is advice that I give to every one of my reps, is, I love coaching, I love working with people, but I have a company goal. Like I'm laser focused on the company being successful. I think everyone should do themselves a favor and find an external coach. Find someone that they trust, that has been in the game for a long time, that knows what they're talking about, that can give them that kind of unfiltered advice. And I know, like for me personally, like Ben, you and I have been talking for a really long time through a couple of different companies. And even, this week we chatted briefly and you gave me some ideas that I'll fill you in on another time, but it works. Because sometimes you just need someone to get you to lift your head up and go, wait, you're too in the weeds. Get your head up and think about this a different way. And that's really, really impactful for a lot of people, right? Like having someone in your corner.
Go out there. I agree with that. So whether it's a third-party coach, you've mentioned mentors a lot of times, somebody outside of the hustle and bustle of your organization that just has a little bit of clarity. And yes, coaches are great, but man, mentors, right? People that have been through it. Maybe they're a little bit more senior than you are, and they can just give you that uncandid or that candid advice that you need so that you can break through the being in the weeds too much. It's a great point there too. So let's talk about coaching out. Is that something that we delay? Is that something that we got to do quickly? We talked already about how much it's going to benefit that person so they can go find a place to thrive. How quickly do you have to make that decision? This is a tough move for a sales leader.
Really, really quickly. Way quicker than people think. And again, I'll hold my hand up and say that I've delayed for way too long on people because I really liked them and I wanted them to be successful, and it never turns around. It never does. All that happens is you both start getting more and more frustrated with each other, I think, right? Because you're having difficult conversation after difficult conversation. I think the sooner you make the decision and just get it done, the better, and the better you're going to feel. I've held on to people. I remember my first time as a manager, I knew I needed to let someone go, and they had been a colleague of mine. We were in the same role, and I had been promoted over them, and they'd been there for longer. And you kind of second guess yourself because you're like, well, they've been at the company longer than me, right? I remember after I let that person go, it was the first person I let go. A very good friend of mine who was in a leadership position said, everyone was kind of wondering what you were waiting for, and that really crystallized something for me. Is if you're holding on to bad people start to question your leadership. And that can really hurt.
It is very true. So right now there's a sales leader listening to this. There's probably salespeople listening to this going, am I in the right place? I'm not thriving. Maybe I can self-select. The sales leaders that are listening to this, what you just said, Chris, I've heard something similar to that dozens of times.
Mm-hmm.
And sitting in the boardroom with the C-suite, and they're questioning the leadership of the VP or the director because he or she they can't see the obvious. They won't let that person go when that person's trying to white knuckle the situation.
Yeah.
And you have to make that move, and then remind yourself and do it, with empathy. We're humans working together, knowing you're going to help that person find a better place to go thrive by helping them make that disconnection, cut the cord. So be a human with it, be empathetic with it, make the move quickly, because no one's winning in that situation.
100%.
Absolutely.
Man, the conversation is so good. Ben, Chris, do you think we have time for one audience question?
Oh my God, we don't, but we're going to do it because you know what? We're committed to our audience. So if you have questions, Ari, send that up, Ari. If you have questions, send them to us on LinkedIn, where we get most of them. You could send them right here live right now, but we will do our best to squeeze them in as best we can. Okay, let's look at this question. How to go about growing share of wallet with current customers. I'm struggling with the idea of getting your customer to introduce to new teams, location, product lines within their company. Chris, I'll let you have the first stab at this one, but this is a great one, and we probably need more time, but at least we'll get started.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a great question, and it's something that I think a lot of teams struggle with. I think a lot of reps, again, you get your head into the weeds a little bit, and you think, okay, this is going really, really well. Now is the right time for me to try and ask for an introduction because of all these key business metrics. I think people tend to forget about the emotional side of selling. And what I mean by that is, businesses buy for the rational impact of a solution or product. People buy because of the emotional impact it has on them, right? So because you sell a solution that, will lead to X amount of additional revenue or efficiency in the business, like that's great. And the CEO or COO or CFO will sign off on that. If the product you're selling gets some guy home to his wife and kids earlier, and that has a really good impact on his life, then you're building a champion. And you got to understand the two. The emotional impact is what's going to build a champion, and a champion is defined as someone that will sell internally for you. So get them on side personally first, and then ask for it. The other thing I'll mention is the timing of when you ask. Mm-hmm. After something has been deployed and the business is seeing the ROI and all that good stuff, that's great. But typically in a business, once a project is completed, they've moved on to something else and they've kind of forgotten about you. So never wait until the end of a project. Yes. Always ask when they're at their peak, when there's the most excitement. That's when you start asking for the introductions.
100%. I think it's great. So I'm going to add just one thing to that, and that is WIFM, right? What's in it for me?
Yeah.
We're selling solutions, right? All of you listening to this right now, you're selling a solution. And that solution, whether it's going to bring somebody home early to their family, it's a great visual, Chris. If it's going to save time within a company, get an ROI, all of the above, right? The emotional side and the business side of that, you're selling a solution. Why would you want to hold back bringing solutions to other teams, other departments? So you owe it to your customer to see where else can you help? Who else is going to benefit from this solution? And when you think about the what's in it for me from your customer's perspective, of course, Chris, what you brought up, two things are really important. How's it going to make the customer that you're working with, your point of contact, look great, right? With that referral, can they trust you with the solution? Are you professional? And the other part of it is the business side of it. What business advantages are you bringing to that other team, that other department? So your point of contact wants to be a hero for you and for their counterparts. They want to introduce you as long as you are aware of the ROI and the WIFM that you're bringing to their team.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, Ben, I gotta talk more on this.
Chris.
You made a really, really great point. Sometimes the champion or the person that you've sold to or that you're working with doesn't know how to sell internally. You know, really, really important that as sellers, we understand we sell our product or solution all day long, right? Hundreds, if not thousands of times. The person that's on the other side might have bought one solution and they just don't know what to do. So you got to help them help you as well and give them a path to help sell internally. And I've seen some really, really great like ABM programs or just, you know, internal advocacy programs where you help elevate them and let them show all of the great work that they've put into something. And, you know, you can do webinars or you can do email cadences or whatever it is. There's lots of different ways to do that. But make sure you elevate them. Always make sure you elevate them.
Absolutely. So, okay, we are way over time and we've got so many more topics. When we come back, Chris, you're okay coming on the show again, I'm hoping.
Love it. Yeah, would love
to. Okay, awesome. So we're gonna we talked a lot about coaching today, coaching up or coaching out. Things that we need to touch on is what is the structure that we need to create to make sure that our teams are set up for success. And then the next part is succession planning. If I've been promoted to a supervisor or manager, that's great. That's my next step, right? So congratulations for doing that. How do I make sure that I'm ready for continuing to move up, to grow my career, going from manager to director to where Chris is now as a VP and then beyond? So succession planning is something that we need to start from day one in sales leadership. So Chris, we're going to pick your brain and get all your good ideas from that in our next episode. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, absolutely. We might need to make it a bit longer, but yeah.
I have a feeling. Oh my gosh. Okay, guys. Thank you guys, Chris. Ari, thank you, of course, for keeping it all together. Chris, thank you for taking time out in fourth quarter to help everyone through all these challenges. Let's hear the music, and we'll see everybody next time, Wednesday at 11:45 Eastern.